Welcome to Rico 12. I'm Justin B. I am a son of an all-powerful and perfectly loving God and an addict living in the miracle of one day at a time recovery, and just grateful to be the host of Rico 12. Rico 12 is an open to all addictions and afflictions organization dedicated to exploring the common threads of the differing manifestations of alcoholism, sharing tools, and offering hope from those walking a similar path. We gather from diverse backgrounds, faiths, and locations to learn and support one another. Our speakers come from various fellowships and experiences, demonstrating the universal principles of recovery. Rico 12 is not allied or affiliated with any specific 12-step fellowship. This is Rico 12 speaker meeting number 349. Thank you for joining us live or in the recording later. Today's speaker is Jacqueline S, and she is a first-time guest speaker on Rico 12, and I'm super excited and grateful to hear from her today. She'll be speaking today on a topic around the concept of the spiritual malady, being cunning, baffling, and powerful. And I look forward to hearing more about this message in a few minutes. But first, a few quick announcements and bits of information. Rico 12 offers a variety of recovery resources, including various podcasts and social media communities. To explore more or learn more, please visit Rico 12 at www.rico12.com, RECO12.com, or check the chat. I'll put stuff in the chat here of the live meeting and in the show notes of the podcast for links. We are self-supporting, and your contributions help us continue this mission and sharing this message. Thank you to all our Spearhead donors, past and present, especially this last week to Abby and Vivian. Your support truly makes a difference. If you'd like to contribute, please visit rico12.com/support or check the links that I'll put in the show notes or in the chat for one-time or monthly donation options. Every bit of support, whether it be financial or word of mouth, helps us share these messages of recovery. Each week, we receive light and inspiration from our speakers. Their experience brings hope, meaning, worth, and growth to us as listeners. Now I'm excited to introduce our guest speaker today, Jacqueline S. Here's just a little bit about her. Jacqueline came in through a different recovery program, couldn't leave because she felt compelled to return day after day, and slowly her life has been transformed one day at a time. Her first exposure to a 12-step program was on Saturday, May 18th. It was different, but Jacqueline was hooked on what she didn't know at the time, but hooked nonetheless. Jacqueline knew she wanted more of it, and she now has attended more than 1,000 meetings since that day and has finally stopped counting, and we're grateful to hear from her today. Take it away, Jacqueline. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you so much for the honor of asking me to speak today. And I do get very emotional. I'm just overwhelmed with the love and the grace of my higher power. And since he's really the one that owns the floor, I would like to start my sharing today with just some words. God, my higher power, my peace, pray excessively, and acceptance comes eventually. Help me to live close to you, remembering that you are my resting place. Since you, my higher power, my God, are both with and within me, I can dwell in this peaceful haven with you. I long to be able to stay calm in the midst of stressful situations, centering myself in you. We can deal with my problems together, you and I, so there's no need for me to panic when things seem out of control. But I confess that the more difficult my circumstances, the more likely I am to anxiously shift into high gear, forgetting your steadfast presence that strengthens me. As soon as I realize I've wandered from your presence, I need to return to you immediately. Whispering your name reconnects me with you and calms me down. Sometimes I get discouraged because I seem to wander away from you so frequently. However, I'm striving to form a new habit, and I know this takes time and persistent effort. Thank you for showing me that the rewards of this strenuous training are well worth all the effort. I'm finding that the more I return to you, my resting place, the more peaceful and joyful my life becomes. Thank you, higher power. So, yes, my name's Jacqueline. I am a grateful, recovering child of God. I used to identify myself as a sexaholic, but now God laid on to me, I don't know when, but I'm just a recovering child of God. I happen to be a sexaholic who's been sexually sober for over a year. I also happen to be an alcoholic who's been sober from alcohol for over a year. I am currently struggling a little bit with some food problems because I'm doing some very, very difficult deep work. And when Justin asked me to speak, I wasn't sure what to do. I was scared. I was excited. I was a lot of things. But the problem was it's I. And so I told him that I would spend some time in prayer and let higher power talk to me. And this was months ago. And not only did higher power direct me to speak today, he gave me the topic. And the topic was cunning, baffling, and powerful. And I'm like, what am I going to talk about? I don't know. What I do know is I can't prepare. I have to surrender my entire life to my higher power, because if I prepare, then it's my words and not his words. What I was allowed to do was look up these words, and I'm going to share them with you. Cunning. Cunning is knowledge, understanding, learning. It originally meant to know or understand something. My disease understands me. It's clever, it's crafty, but it deceives me constantly. It's able to get what it wants because it tricks me and it cheats me out of my happiness and joy. It's baffling. It's confusing and perplexing. It muddles up the mind, confounds the senses, and perplexes the heart, distorting and understanding. It cheats and deceives and to disgrace and treat me with contempt, confusing me and thwarting any meaningful understanding or any change to come about. It's bewildering that defeats the skill. It's irrational. It's powerful. It has so much control over me. It influences everything that I do. It influences people and events. It's a strong effect on people's feelings or thoughts. But I have to think about God, grow or die. My disease. What did disease really mean? It was just a prefix. It was the opposite. It was away from something. So I have an internal spiritual malady. I have a disease of my heart. I have a disease of my attitude. And there's nothing that can give me comfort or give me the ease that I'm longing for except the connection to my higher power. And I've been able to look back. And on page 30, I learned I had to fully concede to my innermost self that I was an addict. This is the first step in my recovery. The delusion I am like other people or maybe had to be smashed. Over any considerable period, we get worse, never better. And so I hear a lot about a part of and not apart from. I had to figure out what I was a part of and what I was apart from. What happened? My dog died. I love my dog. My dog died when I was a kid too, but I forgot about that. This is a forgetting disease. My dog dying it began to spiral out of control. The first 12 step that I attended on Saturday, May the 18th was an Al-Anon meeting. I was back on the internet. I was back on dating sites. I was back doing things I shouldn't be doing, spending time with people I shouldn't be spending time with. And I was crossing gender boundaries because it was easier to deceive my husband of what I was doing. So I didn't consider acting out because they knew I was straight and I was just using them to get what I wanted. I wanted acceptance. I wanted attention. I wanted conversation. I was a very, very selfish person. And to understand that, I had to go through a lot of things this past year. And so she overheard a conversation. My husband and I were at wits, of course, because I'm a sick woman, or was. She had a conversation between me and my mom. And she said to me, you really need Al-Anon. And I'm like, she's right. My mom's an alcoholic and I'm a victim. And so I went to my first Al-Anon meeting, and it had been dissolved for 5 years or 6 years. It was no longer active. So it wasn't there. So my anger and my resentment gets to boil. But for some reason, I didn't give up. And I found another one that started an hour later. And I went to it, and it was a lead. And within that lead, I got to hear how this person was superior. I got to hear what kind of job they had, what kind of title they had. He dropped the F-bomb every third word. I got to hear all of his anger and his resentment, and I still felt more comfortable there than not. And so I continued going to these Al-Anon meetings because I needed to prove that they were wrong. I needed to prove that my mom was the problem. She was the reason I had been so sick my entire life. And where did my problem come in at? I shared it earlier today in one of my meetings. The very first time I experienced anything when I didn't turn to God and I turned to self was when I was 2.5 years old. But I didn't know what was wrong with me as I grew up. At 2.5, my mom left me. She abandoned me. The lady put me in a room and she locked me in there, and I lost my physical control. That's when I started looking for internal control. And that looks like a lot of different things throughout my life. I tried to control people, situations. I tried to control everything. And I used to say I was the easiest going person in the world, the most flexible, but I wasn't unless you're agreeing with what I had to say. So I was in so much grief from losing my dog, blaming my husband because he picked out the vet. The vet did a bad job. The vet made a mistake and my dog died. It was always everybody else's fault. It doesn't really matter whose fault it is. I can't change any of that. Only my reactions. And we were looking at going through divorce after 13 years again. How many times have we been in divorce court? I don't remember. 2 or 3 at that point, maybe. And I literally was trying to go through this, but I was angry at him because he was saying, okay, I'm going to go to my brother's. He wasn't fighting me. And that didn't help. I needed him to fight me so that I could feel okay. And so he left, and I justified that to have my friend come over. And so that is the crazy part of this cunning, baffling, powerful disease. I wasn't sure if I could still be what I considered heterosexual by having her come to my house and nobody here. So I had to act out before she got here. That's how I know what my sobriety date is. That's so crazy. And it's so beautiful. It's also the day that my husband and I met the very first time in 2011. It has a lot of different meanings to me. This year, when I celebrated on June the 5th, my 1 year of sexual sobriety, I wasn't sure if my husband and I were going to survive recovery. I still don't know, and I don't have to know today. I can give that to God. But she came over, and I realized that I was just miserable. And I had my husband come back because during this time, I had found my Al-Anon sponsor, and I told her my real problem. My real problem was, of course, my husband. He's a sexaholic. He's a pervert. He's sick. He's this. He's that. All the while not realizing that I'd been hiding behind my husband for years so that I could act out and justify my disease. That's how cunning, baffling, and powerful this disease is for me. I didn't know that at the time, but I did find a bunch of links. I was in Al-Anon, and then I went to Nar-Anon, so that, I had some qualifiers, so it wasn't like I was going there deceitfully, but I went there for the verbiage because I wanted to hear about the addict. I wanted to attack my addict, which was my husband at the time. And from that, I met a sister that was an Al-Anon, and she spent over 2 hours with me one day, and I couldn't understand why she spent so much time with me, talking to me about a problem that we both shared, and that was that our husbands had issues. And then I found out, I went to that meeting, and I found out about SA. And I'm like, this is it. We've tried everything. He's been in therapy. He's been in recovery. He's hypnotized. He's been on medication. We've done everything to fix him. We just got to fix him and I'll be all right. I came home with my chest puffed out and I said, you know what? This is where you got to go. This is the day it is. And if you don't go there, then we might as well just file for divorce. Because I really love my husband and I really want us to make it. And I really thought he was the problem with my heart of hearts. He went. His very first meeting, he came home and he looked at me and he said, Jacqueline, he said, I don't know that you don't belong there. I don't belong there. I'm fine. There's nothing wrong with me. And he let it go. And that was on a Thursday. He went to the next meeting on a Saturday. He came back home and he looked at me again and he said, Jacqueline, seriously, I don't know that you don't belong in SA. And I had a lot of things to say to him, and I'll guarantee you none of them were nice. I'm glad I don't remember what they were. But what I do remember is that was the bug that bit me, right? I wanted to know what was going on because I didn't go there for me. I went there to prove that he couldn't get better or to see what it was that he liked about this place so much. Because, I'm this pompous person. Now I'm in this Al-Anon and I am like, I was always the professional victim. Now I'm getting I'm all puffed up with it. Snuck into my first SA meeting really late at night, had my earbuds in, everybody's sleeping, nobody knows I'm on. And I couldn't even have on my camera, and I just listened. Was it hit? I was touched somewhere so deep inside. I knew I was home. Wherever home is, I knew I was there. And I went back the next night. And I went back the next night. And I wanted to be angry. I went back to spy on my husband. See, he can't get better. Nobody keeps their sobriety in SA. They keep coming in, they're blaming it on women. I'm not their problem. They keep coming in. And they've shared things that I can't relate to. I don't watch porn. I don't masturbate. Mine's different. I'm different. I'm just looking for the right guy. That internal spiritual malady, that's what I'm looking for, that connection that's real. It's the pain that I started having at 2.5 years old that I've been trying to cover up my whole life. It's the pain from being sexually assaulted. It's the pain from the molestation. It's the pain from the rejection of not having a mother that loved me the way I wanted her to. It's the pain, it's the fear. The fear stopped me, blocked me from feeling my higher power, my God. Today, I have to forgive everyone and recover. Then I was just running away, but there was nowhere to go. Just like for today, there's nowhere to go. I go to my knees. I go to my knees every single morning, but that didn't come about like overnight. I go to an Al-Anon conference in August of last year because, even though I'm hiding in SA, obviously I don't belong. The women are mean. 7 of them have refused to be my sponsor. There's something wrong with them, but there's something wrong with me. Why doesn't anybody want to be around me? Why can't anybody tolerate me? Why doesn't anyone want to listen to me? I went to the meeting or to the conference over the weekend. 3 days later, I wanted to kill myself. I didn't realize that going to a conference, you had to prepare before and after. And that Thursday afternoon, my husband had been gone all month because I had kicked him out again and I had filed for divorce and I never planned on seeing him again. And my sponsor, I had put her, my Al-Anon sponsor, I'd put her on a pedestal and she was spying on me and I didn't know what to do with that. I didn't realize she was a human being that was defective like me. I wanted her to be perfect. I wanted everybody to be perfect. That's part of my problem. I spiraled so far that I started at visual hallucinations that day and I looked at my legs. They were melting. I just didn't know what to do. I had no clue. But the one person that always forgave me, that took my crazy, I knew if I could get a hold of him, if he would just answer the phone this one last time, that I could get through that day. And if he didn't, I wasn't going to be here anymore because I couldn't figure out that it was God I needed. He answered the phone. He talked to me for 3 days, almost nonstop, until I could get my head screwed back on straight. The DSR partner that I thought I was doing such a service for said, I don't care what we do, just don't stop calling me. So much love that I didn't feel like I deserved. That day, Thursday, August the 22nd, I accepted the fact that I was a sexaholic. And I apologized to my husband for what I'd been doing to him. This cunning, baffling, powerful disease might have had a hold of me, but my all-powerful, knowing God owns me. So when I came into SA, I got to find out about this beautiful thing called the SA game. I got into it. I'm an addict. I just want to win. That's all I want to do. I want to be right and I want to win. And I got in that game. So I wanted to win something. And so I kept looking at the different things I could do every week to challenge myself a little bit more. November the 4th is when I started my prayer book because I wanted to win a game. I had no idea that it was my life I was going to earn and get. That's the day that I started my prayer book. On November 5th is the day I wrote out the St. Francis prayer. And it means so much to me. It means something new to me every day that I read it. I had no emotions for so many years. I couldn't cry. I couldn't feel. I couldn't care about anything. Because I was in so much pain. I couldn't relate to the people in the rooms because I always felt different. What can I feel now? Now I do feel like I'm losing my mind. And I'm glad I am. My mind almost killed me. God is redesigning me. He's given me a different way to look at life. It's okay if everybody doesn't like me. Today, this is the gift he gave me today. It's okay if everyone doesn't like me. I still really do like everybody. I just pretended like I didn't because it hurt when they didn't like me back. What? That's insanity. Yeah, I'm insane, but I'm in recovery. Recovery for me is to just remember everything. I forgot I have this sometimes where I have a little bit of a blank. I'll come back to it, but recovery for me is just to remember everything and just really forgive everyone and go forward. There is no back for me. There's death. There's just death. And I don't know what the right things are to say ever. I have no idea. But I know that not being in this program of recovery is not a good place for me. I struggled for a long time. A couple of months after I got in program, my SA sponsor let me go. And I am a good victim. I played a victim for a long time. And I realize now that that was a blessing in disguise. She could tell me things to do, but that wasn't what I needed. What I needed is the sponsor I have today, and I have to trust God's divine intervention to place the right people in my path. What my SA sponsor that I have currently did for me is constantly say, did you pray about it? Did you take it to God? It wasn't that I couldn't follow directions, but I couldn't figure out who to rely on. I have a God box right here. It's my God box. It's beautiful. I learned about the God box in Al-Anon. Somebody asked me when I gave a share a few weeks ago, what are you going to do when it gets full? You know what? Today I don't have to worry about that. Today I don't have to worry about anything. I don't have to worry about these tears that I'm crying, these tissues that I'm using. I don't have to worry about showing you my heart because it's mine. It's my heart. This is my recovery. This is my beautiful walk through this cunning, baffling, powerful disease. Because what I want you to see is that there is one who is all powerful. May you find him now. May he give you the freedom to live your life without worrying about how you look on Zoom, how your teeth look, what kind of clothes you're wearing, what somebody said to you, somebody didn't say to you. It all hurts. Life hurts. Life is very painful. And I'm so thankful that I came through the doors that I came through. As I shared, I'm doing this through a different program now. I am working what's called a big book step study. highness method. And it's tough. It's really, really hard. Going through SA brought up a lot of stuff. I don't know how many people I've slept with, and I don't care anymore, and I'm not ashamed of that. It's just part of what it is. Had I came through any other program, any other way, I wouldn't have been able to finish it. God knew what I needed. He took me through the path that I needed to go through. I just had to stop asking why. Someone that I used to talk to every single day, and she's on here. I love her. I love you so much. She said to me last week, sometimes I just don't need to know why. You just got to stop asking why. And that's what happens every day, all day long. Somebody will say something to me, around me, and God uses it to heal me. And it's that healing that I'm chasing today. There's a lot of stuff he's got to take off. By gosh, he's taking it one layer at a time. And I've heard a lot of people refer to it as an onion. For me, it's an onion, and I need to buy stock in Puffs Plus lotion, tissue, because I probably go through a box of them a day. And it says this meeting is being recorded. And today I can really say I don't care. I don't care. I don't care who hears this, except I care that it touches someone in the way that he intends for it to touch. I am going to stop. There's a couple things that I would like to read. It should only take a minute. This is called the forgiveness prayer, and it's in my prayer book. Dear Lord, as I prepare to rest for my day to give this talk, whatever it is that I'm preparing for, I humbly come before you, seeking your grace and mercy. Acknowledge the moments today, at this time, any time, where I may fail or cause hurt or harm to anyone else. In my heart, I ask you for your forgiveness for my missteps. Teach me to grow and learn from all of my experiences. Amen. I pray for the knowledge of God's will for me and the power to carry that out. May I say the St. Francis prayer now, Justin?
Got questions about addiction, recovery, or just life in general? Let's noodle it out together. Grab your big book, a pen, a highlighter, and a notepad, and join Nikki M and me, Justin B, on Rico 12 Noodle It Out with Nikki M. Each episode, we take real-life questions, ours, yours, and those from the recovery community, and dig deep into the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous to find real, practical solutions. So, if you're ready to do the work and apply the solution, tune in to Noodle It Out with Nikki M, streaming now on your favorite podcast platform. You can, and we'll also have you close out at the end with it, but absolutely, you can say it twice.
Thank you. I love this prayer so much. And so this is what I want for me, if it's God's will. I want God's will today. And I love this because of what it says to me. Lord, make me a channel of thy peace, that where there is hatred, I may bring love, that where there is wrong, I may bring the spirit of forgiveness, that where there is discord, I may bring harmony, where there is error, I may bring truth, that where there is doubt, I may bring faith, that where there is despair, I may bring hope, that where there are shadows, I may bring light, that where there is sadness, I may bring joy. Lord, grant that I may seek rather to comfort than to be comforted, to understand than to be understood, to love than to be loved. For it is by self-forgetting that one finds, it is by forgiving that one is forgiven. It is by dying that one awakens to eternal life. Amen. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. I really appreciate you being here and being part of my recovery journey. And Justin, again, thank you and everyone that makes this meeting possible.
Thank you, Jacqueline. I really was moved by your story, by your share, and by these things that higher power is doing through you and with you at this point. Thank you so much. I've written down several questions, several notes here, and I'll get to those here in a minute. But I want to remind our live audience, if you have a question for Jacqueline, please type it in the chat. If you want to remain anonymous, if you don't want me to read your first name, send me a direct message or put a note at the beginning, anonymous, please, and I'll keep your name from here. Otherwise, if you are okay with me saying your name, just direct or send it to me, send it in the chat. So Jacqueline, there's a couple things I want to ask you. And one of them is in one of the last things you said here. I don't need to know why. I once heard somebody say that I can either have understanding or I can have God, but very rarely can I have them both. Which am I going to choose? Talk to me a little bit about maybe the peace, the understanding you have now of you don't need to know why, and you can just move forward with that.
Well, I heard this in another meeting. Thank you for the question. I'm too smart for my own good. I went and got an IQ test. I was pretty high up in my career. I got alphabet soup behind my last name, and it didn't do a dang thing for me. Nothing. It helped me live in my disease because I could prove how right I was and how wrong everyone else was. And that just keeps me from God. If I think I know better than God, how can I follow his direction? Look at the mess I made. And in 1 year's time, oh my gosh, I spent my whole life with my disease lying to me with my own voice. I've listened to his for a short amount of time, and he's created miracles in my life.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you. All right. Question from one of our attendees. You mentioned an acronym for peace. Can you repeat that acronym, please?
Yes. He just gave this one to me a few weeks ago. It is pray excessively. Acceptance comes eventually. And the cool thing about acronyms is it's part of my deep dive that I'm doing in a Big Book Step study where I have to write down people. So with essay, I was just focused on my sexual problems. In this Big Book Step study, I'm focused on my life. And my 8th grade English teacher, Oliver unnamed, I used to get in trouble a lot. And she would tell me, life isn't about acronyms. You can't write acronyms the rest of your life. And oh my goodness, I'm in a program of recovery where acronyms are my life. I can write as many as I want. It doesn't get any better than that, right? It doesn't get any better than that. So thank you. I have a million. I want to tell you guys what the recovery meant. I did text it to myself because I don't remember anything. Recovery means releasing everything completely only validates recovery. Yeah, that's what recovery means for me.
Beautiful. Thank you, Jacqueline. Question comes in about the method that you are currently working the steps with. This person just asks, what's it called, and how do you get a sponsor that works that method?
So oh God, I came in through Al-Anon. I ended up in SA, and I wanted something different. And I went through a Big Book Step study, found out I was an alcoholic, just to know that I'm so spiritually sick. And so the format that I'm following right now is called Big Book Step Study. And it does incorporate all addictions as well as AA. I'm going through the AA format. I currently have over 1,300 resentments, and I thought I would never get done writing. And last night I was in a meeting, and someone had 8,000. I might be normal for once in my life. It's okay.
All right. So excellent. So, and you said it's called the Hyannis method through the Big Book Step Study.
Yes. So it's called Big Book Step Study. And the particular one that I'm doing is HYANNIS. It's very regimented. It was started a while back up in Massachusetts, I believe, in Hyannis, Massachusetts, or wherever Hyannis is. It's actually the name of a city because I looked it up because I'm a knowledge freak. Didn't do me any good with the recovery program, but
Good. All right. Well, I'll put this information in the show notes of the podcast, and I'll also post it in the chat, the WhatsApp chat. So we'll have that in there. And if anybody has any, would like to get that, you can send me an email at rico12pod@gmail.com. I'll make sure you get connected in those places. Next question comes in from Wendy. Wendy says, Jacqueline, your lead was incredibly touching. Could you share with us the forgiveness prayer you read? So, yeah, could you share that with us? And if you'd like to share that with me, I'll also post it in those places.
yeah, I don't know where I got it from, but I would be happy to say it again. Some of it I ad-libbed because I like to change the words. This is actually that one that I say at night before I go to bed, because what it says is, Dear Lord, as I prepare to rest. But what I do is I personalize all the prayers for my whole day. Before I begin to rest, before I begin the meeting, before I speak, before I do anything now, I really do pray. And my DSR partner, when I first got her and she told me that she would pray on her knees, I just thought, man, that is so ridiculous. I'm not going to get on my knees and pray. What are you doing, girl? But I didn't say that. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, that was such a ridiculous thought I had. I was on my knees Sunday and I was with my daughter in the emergency department, and I was in her room, and I got on my knees to pray so that I could do some step work while we were waiting. I pray. And it's changed my life. But can I send this to you, Justin, in an email?
Yes, please send it to me in an email, and I'll get it posted in all these different places where they can access it. And you can, once again, send me an email. I'll send it to you if you'd like it emailed directly to you. Excellent. Thank you so much for going through that. So another question I have for you, Jacqueline, you talked a lot about, man, I was a victim of all of these different things. I could easily play a victim to horrible things that had happened in my life, but it seems to have shifted. How does it change from I'm a victim or I'm different to I was home and I'm one of you? How did that change for you?
I was a victim until I wasn't, Justin. When do I start taking accountability for my actions? I became a predator too. I was preying on other people's pain. How many men did I meet offline? How many people did I not want to talk to because they weren't cute enough, or they weren't tall enough, or they didn't have a good job? How many people did I hurt? I want forgiveness. And that's why the St. Francis prayer really speaks to me. It is by forgiving that one is forgiven. And I know that, again, in my heart of hearts, coming into this program, I dealt with the abandonment. I dealt with the stepfather that molested me for 9 years. I dealt with the stranger rape. I dealt with a family member assisting in another rape. I dealt with the bad stuff. But I also did some things I'm not proud of. And so one thing doesn't make two wrongs don't make a right for me. And at some point in my life, forgiveness becomes a choice. I can choose to forgive other people and live my life, or I can choose to carry them around. And I'm going to tell you, they're heavier than I am. All of those thousands of resentments that I have, they take up so much space in my life. Why? Why am I allowing that? When I release that, I'm truly free.
Hey, Spearheads, if you're looking to dive deeper into the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous with people who live the solution, then you won't want to miss Rico 12 Big Book Roundtable. Join David G., Nikki M., and me, the moderator Justin B., 3 recovered addicts from multiple fellowships, as we break down the big book line by line. In each 30-minute episode, we share our experience, strength, and hope in a real, raw, and practical roundtable discussion. So, if you are ready to learn and apply what you learn, tune in to Rico 12 Big Book Roundtable on your favorite podcast platform. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Next question I have for you, Jacqueline, is I love this. I found it very interesting that you went to that, the Al-Anon conference, and you had a less than ideal situation with your sponsor at that point, and you learned that your sponsor was human, just like you. As you embrace that concept of people are just like me, human, what kind of peace does that bring into your life, rather than what kind of are you going around suspicious of everybody now? What's your process with that?
Um, that's a very good question. Thank you for asking that. And so what I've learned is that I'm actually in therapy now because I don't have a drug. I don't have an acting out partner to cover up the pain that I was trying to cover up. So I have two psychiatrists and a therapist, and I'll have them as long as I need to. Because this is some rough stuff, man. It's tough because I have to go back through the pain. And I've said this before. God is deconstructing me to reconstruct me. And so as I go through life, through the painful events, or that brings up that painful feeling that I had as a younger person or whatever, instead of turning to my drug, or instead of turning to my drink, or instead of turning to my whatever, I'm turning to him. And so each time as he takes it, it helps me every single moment. Excuse me. And I got a little confused just now as I was sharing that because I had to have a little hiccup. Can you say it one more time, please?
Yeah, just the going from thinking that maybe your sponsor or others need to be perfect and finding out they're not. What kind of peace or suspicion does that give you?
Yes, thank you so much. And so what happened was I expected my mom to be a certain kind of mom. I expected my brother to be a certain kind of brother. So it was those expectations that created all these resentments. I expected people to like me just because I thought I was amazing. And so what I did is I became a perfectionist, and I was a really good perfectionist. Um, and I want to prove how smart I am. So I could get an IQ test. I want to prove how great I am and how I don't succumb to my upbringing, and I go to the top of the food chain. And so what I've learned is that I know I'm not perfect, and accepting that, going through this process that I'm not perfect, and finally seeing God did that for me on purpose. What a blessing that my Al-Anon sponsor showed me she's not perfect. What a blessing that everybody that I meet every single day shows me they're not perfect, because it helps me accept the fact that neither am I. We are all just human beings, regardless of whether we've been sober for 5 minutes or 50 years. We are all on the same pathway down the same road, and we're just as far from the ditch as we ever were when we started. We're just at different levels, right? And so when I first came into program, I was, go figure, arrogant. And I'm like, oh, these people have been coming for how many years? They're talking 20 some years they've been coming and they're still not sexually sober. What is wrong? Oh, Jacqueline, shame on you. They're humble. Maybe you need a dose of that. Take a little piece of that pie, because what they're willing to do is show me what it's like to never give up. And they are showing me what it's like to be a real human being. They are showing me what it's like to feel. They have changed my life because God put them in my life.
Yeah, I love this perspective change that happens for so many of us as we're in the rooms. There's you said something in this answer that refers back to something you said in your share earlier. You said here most recently, God is deconstructing me to reconstruct me. And you said something earlier to the effect of, I'm glad I'm losing my mind. That's a good thing because my mind was killing me. Talk to me about, was there resistance in that mind losing process at first? And how did you allow that resistance to dissipate so you could change?
Wow, what a great question, Justin. I don't know. So that thought that I just shared with you just happened about an hour and a half ago. I was actually on the back porch sharing my day with my husband. And I said, I feel like I'm losing my mind. And I said, oh my gosh, I am. I am losing my mind because my mind was killing me, and God's taken that away. My mind was my worst enemy because, like I said, I'm too smart for my own good. I thought that I could outthink this disease. I thought that I could outfigure this disease. I thought I could do everything. what is my ism? My ism is my internal spiritual malady, but it's also I, self, and me. I was full of it. And so it's really interesting that the other thing that's happened is I've started going back to my program of worship, because it's in the big book. It says that, you should do that. And you should really take heed on what religious people have to say. And I've always felt so judged in the religious place. And so what I've realized is that organized religion doesn't work for me. It's people who are trying to keep from going to hell. This spiritual connection, this spiritual program that I have is for people like me who've already been to hell and they've grabbed a hand to pull back out, and that's the hand of God. And when I first went into into the house of my worship, I heard program. That's God talking to me. I heard all the program that I had heard the last few days. And so I've been really nervous, but in the past month, I've went to a women's gathering, and whether women think about me one way or another, that's their problem. It's not mine. And I have to really pray about that and think about that so that God can handle it, because I can't handle it. I've been married 5 times. I've got 5 kids. They've got 3 different dads. I lived the biggest lie because I didn't know I was a sexaholic. It just had some bad luck, right? But it doesn't matter. And I go in there, and these women are even, this just happened again on Wednesday, because now there's a meeting twice a week. Oh my gosh, now I'm going twice a week. And they come up to me and I'm like, what do they want? Why are they talking to me? Why are they being nice to me? Maybe the same thing you want, Jacqueline. Maybe they just want a friend. Isn't that what you want? How is it okay for me to want a friend, but it's not okay for someone else to want a friend? Maybe if I look at these women as I look at myself, it will help me realize that we're all the same, because I've gotten over the craziness with being with men because there's so many men in SA. I can hug a man without thinking about what I want to do with him. I don't have those thoughts anymore. I've been relieved of that. I surrender my nose at the door. I don't go into that obsession of the mind when I go in there and they've got different colognes on, or they've got different clothing on, or I just don't go there, because I've spent time with them. I've got to be willing to do the same thing with women in person, not just online, but in person. I've got to be willing to spend time with them to get better. And so if I'm willing to say I'm not perfect, but this is what God's done with such an arrogant, egotistical, self-centered person. If he can change me, why can't he change everybody else? Because I know how bad I really was. And that's where the changes happened for me.
It's beautiful. And I love how you took that through that process of explaining that. I think, well, for me, it was very meaningful. And it's something that I also identify very closely with, is that my story is very much yours. And I love saying in front of people, dude, if God can grab me and pull me out of the mess I was in, there's nobody he won't grab. So it's a beautiful thing. We got a question from our live audience. This is from Donna. Donna says, what process do you use in the moment when you have a conflict with someone or something to get to peace and back to God? How do you get back to peace and back to God when there's conflict in the moment?
I will say I'm not there yet. I strive to be there. I'm getting better every day. And so, I heard an acronym from someone, and I wrote it down, and I wrote it down, and I wrote it down, and I couldn't remember what it was. And so I was like, well, what does pause mean for me? And so there I go, making another acronym. For me, I can remember it if I come up with it. But if someone else tells me, I can't grasp it for some reason. So pause for me was pray, ask until sovereignty enters. And so what did that mean for me is when I catch myself and realize that I'm angry, when I catch myself and realize I'm full of rage, that's when all I can say sometimes is surrender. I can't even say I surrender. I can only get in the thought surrender. I don't have to say it out loud. I'm just practicing saying it inside. And so I'm working more and more on that of just surrender, 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 surrender. And I don't care if I've got to say it a million times in a row. That's what I do. And thanks for that question, Donna. Because I'm full of rage. The rage came from a little girl who had no control, who was being hurt. And so what I did was hurt other people physically. I would beat people up really bad. And I justified it by letting them hit me first. So today, they hit me first, and I give it to God. I really do. I'm learning to give him every single aspect of my life because I can't tolerate it otherwise.
Hey, Rico 12 Spearheads. If our recovery resources have helped you, please consider a donation. Your financial support, as well as your word of mouth support, keeps Rico 12 running and reaching the man who is still sick. Donate today at rico12.com/support or check the show notes for PayPal and Venmo links. Every contribution helps carry the message. Thanks for being a Rico 12 Spearhead. So I've got a couple more questions here. First one is one of the first concepts you shared at the beginning of your talk about this concept of surrender that you're talking about now. As a victim, somebody who said, I've been a victim my whole life, what does that concept look like early on in your recovery process of surrendering? I mean, how does that make you feel? And how do you get to the point where now you're like, surrender, surrender, surrender. Everything needs to be surrendered.
What a powerful question. I had to write an impact statement about why I thought I was suffering from whatever. And since I work a program of rigorous honesty, all I could do, I prayed before I did it. And it was because I was born. Abortion was illegal. And if I hadn't been born, none of these things would have ever happened. And I saw the initial shock and sadness on my psychiatrist's face. And because of program, I didn't absorb that and stop telling the truth because he made me read it out loud. But I will tell you that take the actions, the feelings will follow. I can take the actions of my disease and the feelings will follow. Or I can take the actions of recovery and love and the feelings will follow. When I gave my mom her amends, whether I felt it or not doesn't matter. When she said, yeah, I've already forgiven myself, I just laughed. Because it on the inside, not at her, I laughed on the inside. Because it didn't hurt me anymore. My reactions hurt me to people. If I don't react to people, places, and things, they have no power. God has all power. And so my main abuser died a very long time ago, and it didn't make me feel better. It didn't make what he did right. No more than me making amends for the things that I did right. I still wasn't a present mom. I still have 5 kids with 3 different dads. I still was working all the time. I still was doing things I shouldn't have been doing. But I want them to forgive me. How can I hold forgiveness from anyone else? It's just a different level of assault, right?
Yeah. Thank you for walking through. I mean, these are powerful answers to questions that can be really difficult, and I'm grateful that you're willing to walk into them. Thank you so much. Last question I have for you: teach us about the God box you have there. What is the process you go through with this God box, and what does that look like to you?
This God box looks like $1.25 at the store. and it is beautiful. It is gray. We can use the word cheapskate or frugal, but I did it because it was convenient and it matches my decor. And it's pretty tall. It's cylinder. And so today, the last slip I put in here, see, it's all mixed up with the rest of them. I'll pull one out. Today, I put the slip in there for the meeting. Please keep my mouth shut and have yours open. So what did I just pull out? I can write it, but I can't say it. Catastrophizing. It's one of my character defects. I don't want this character defect, y'all. What can I do with this character defect? Nothing. I stick it in my God box. I got to deal with my catastrophizing today. When I put it in there, I just forget about it and I walk away. I heard about the God box in Al-Anon, and I went late the last day there, and I tried to make a God box there, and it just wasn't working for me. And what I know is that I spent my whole life trying to put a square inside of a circle, and it just doesn't work. I knew when the time was right for me to get my God box. But I can come in here any time of the day, and I can put anything on my piece of paper, and I can stick it in my God box, and God can deal with it because I can't. And I feel better. It's just that action of turning it over to God. And I feel better once I take that action of putting it in that God box and I walk away from it. And I just forget about it. Whereas before, my brain was like a ping pong table, and this thought was hitting each other, and it was making all these lights flash, and it was doing all this nonsense, and nothing was happening, right? And the flippers were just going flip, 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 flip. There was my ears just flip, 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 flip. And now I come in here, I stick it in the God box, and I'm done. I know what I was going to say earlier. So what has happened with these women's meetings that I went to is it gave me another concept of my disease. And I'm sorry to regress a little bit, but so my disease is like a tapeworm. I know that sounds kind of disgusting, but it is what it is. I don't care how much I fed it. It never got full. And it was killing me and eroding me from the inside out. It doesn't matter what that disease is. It's a tapeworm, and it will suck you of every single nutrient you have, every single bit of hydration you have, every single bit of life you have. It will suck you dry and kill you until you're dead. And what God is, and what this program of recovery is for me, is that pill that I took to destroy the tapeworm from the inside out.
Man, what a powerful way to wrap that up. I took notes on that. I'm sure I assume it's been said before, but I've never heard the tapeworm analogy compared to my disease. So powerful for me. I've just burned a hole in my paper taking notes on that, and I'll be considering that further. Thank you so much, Jacqueline. Actually, before that, do you have any final words of wisdom for us?
Just read the St. Francis prayer and let it speak to you the way that it spoke to me. And when you're not sure what to do, just say, I surrender. It doesn't matter who you're surrendering to, because your higher power knows it's them. And that got me out of myself. It's just, I surrender, I surrender, I surrender.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Jacqueline, for that amazing RICO 12 speaker meeting. If we missed your questions, if you have any other questions, please consider joining our conversation in the WhatsApp community. To join that, send me an email at rico12pod@gmail.com, RECO12POD@gmail.com. If you haven't yet, please consider rating and reviewing RICO 12 on the podcast platform of your choice. It does help us get that message out there and work our 12th step and share recovery with others. Next Friday, we hear from a second-time RICO 12 speaker, Pat O., who previously spoke to us on meeting number 308. Look forward to hearing from him again next week. Stay updated in WhatsApp or on our email list. Now let's wrap up with this Step 11 prayer of St. Francis that Jacqueline will say for us again.
Thank you so much. Lord, make me a channel of thy peace, that where there is hatred, I may bring love, that where there is wrong, I may bring the spirit of forgiveness, that where there is discord, I may bring harmony, that where there is error, I may bring truth, that where there is doubt, I may bring faith, that where there is despair, I may bring hope, that where there are shadows, I may bring light, that where there is sadness, I may bring joy, Lord, grant that I may seek rather to comfort than to be comforted, to understand than to be understood, to love than to be loved. For it is by self-forgetting that one finds, it is by forgiving that one is forgiven. It is by dying that one awakens to eternal life. Amen. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Amen, and thank you. Remember, everybody, there is one that has all power. That one is God. May you find God now. Keep coming back, and when you do, come all the way in, sit all the way down. Let's trudge this road of happy destiny together. Work it. You are worth it.
I've seen stars fall from above. I've fallen in and out of love. I've been high and I've been low. Now I know I just can't do this on my own. I've seen a boy become a man. He got lost without a plan. He's so far away from home. Now I know just can't do this on my own. Your arms surrounding me. Your touch is grounding me. No longer searching for purpose all alone. 'Cause now I know that I just can't do this on my own. I'm looking for the words to say. You make the world a better place, and I can call that place my home. 'Cause now I know that I just can't do this on my own. Your arms surrounding me. Your touch is grounding me. No longer searching for purpose all alone. 'Cause now I know that I just can't do this on my own. So let me see just what you need to set you free, so we can be free. I saw stars fall from above. I fell in and out of love. I got high and I fell low. But now I know that I just can't do this on my own. No, I just can't do this on my own. I just can't do this on my own.